Skin after 60 behaves differently with light than it used to. It is a little thinner, it holds a little less pigment, and it has more small variations in surface, fine lines, a slight unevenness in tone, the shadows that sit under the eyes and around the mouth. None of that is a problem in itself. But it does mean that skin has become more sensitive to what is being reflected onto it from 18 inches below. And 3 colors all get that wrong, in 3 completely different ways. One throws far too much light up at you, one throws nothing at all, and one has so little strength that your skin has to do all the work on its own. So I am going to take each of them in turn, explain exactly what is going wrong, and give you the replacement, because I am not going to take 3 colors off you and leave you with nothing. Every single one has a version that works, and in most cases it is a color you already own. Number 3 is the one I most want you to reach, because it is the one being actively marketed to you. It is on every catalog aimed at women over 60. It is described using words like soft and gentle and flattering, and it is doing more damage than the other 2 combined. Stay with me for that. And near the end, I will give you the daylight test, which takes about 10 seconds and settles any garment you are unsure about, permanently. Let me start with the first one. The first color is brilliant white, and I need to be precise here, because white is not one color. There is a white that is warm and slightly soft, cream, ivory, oyster, bone, off-white, chalk. And there is a white that is intensely, aggressively bright, with a faint blue cast to it. That second one is what you find in most modern shirts and t-shirts, and it is bright because manufacturers add optical brightening agents to the fabric, which are chemicals that absorb invisible ultraviolet light and re-emit it as visible blue. That is genuinely how it works. The fabric is not simply pale, it is actively fluorescing. And that is the problem, in 2 parts. The first is sheer quantity of light. Brilliant white reflects almost everything that lands on it, and it throws it straight upward onto your face from close range. Skin lit that hard from below loses its own color because the reflected light overwhelms it. The same effect as standing too close to a very bright lamp. Your complexion reads as flat and pale, and any redness or unevenness gets amplified rather than softened. The second part is the blue. That faint blue cast is being reflected onto your skin along with the brightness, and blue light on skin that has already lost a little natural warmth makes it read cooler still. Slightly gray, slightly drained. It is a very small effect and it is completely reliable. And then there is contrast. Brilliant white is the lightest thing available, so it creates a hard, high-contrast edge against everything near it. Your jawline, your neck, your hair. High contrast is unforgiving on softened skin, because contrast is exactly what makes an edge visible, and the edges we are talking about are the jaw and the neck. Now the replacement, and this is the good news. You do not have to give up white. You have to move about 2 shades along. Cream, ivory, oyster, bone, chalk, soft eggshell. All of them read as white in an outfit. Nobody looking at you thinks anything other than she is wearing white. And every one of them has warmth in it rather than blue, and reflects less light rather than more. The effect on skin is immediate, and it is not subtle. Here is how to spot the difference in a shop, and it takes 1 second. Hold the white garment next to a piece of white paper. Ordinary printer paper is brilliant white with brighteners in it. If the garment looks slightly yellow or slightly gray next to the paper, that is a warm white and it is the one you want. If it looks the same as the paper or brighter than it, put it down. And there is one more thing about brilliant white specifically. It is the color most likely to be slightly see-through because pale fabric shows what is behind it. So it very often fails on transparency at the same time as it fails on light. If you want one crisp white shirt, and I think everybody should have one, buy it in a decent weight of cotton in a soft white rather than an optic one. The second color is mid-gray. And I know this is going to be unwelcome, because mid-gray is the single most worn color in the wardrobe of nearly every woman over 60 in a cold country. Gray jumpers, gray cardigans, gray t-shirts, gray polo necks. It is comfortable, it goes with everything, it does not show marks, and it feels like the safest thing in the shop. Here is what is going wrong, and it is different from the white problem. Gray is not a color in the way that green or red is a color. Gray has no chroma, no color content at all. It is simply a mixture of black and white, sitting somewhere in the middle, which means it reflects nothing onto your skin. No warmth, no coolness, no color of any kind. It is completely neutral, and neutral sounds like it should be safe, and it is actually the problem, because your skin now has to supply all of the color in the picture entirely on its own. At 30, skin has enough pigment and enough natural flush to do that easily. At 65, with a little less of both, it does not. So you get a face with slightly reduced color, sitting above a garment with no color at all, and the eye reads the whole arrangement as low in color, which we experience as looking washed out or tired or slightly gray ourselves. Mid-gray is the worst offender specifically because it is mid. Charcoal, which is very dark gray, works much better because it is dark enough to act as a deep anchoring neutral, and it creates real contrast that reads as deliberate. Very pale silver gray can work on some complexions. It is the flat mid-tone, the exact color of a rain cloud, of a paving slab, that has no depth and no color and nothing to offer. The replacements are excellent, and there are 3 of them. The first is charcoal, which does everything you wanted gray to do. Neutral, versatile, hides everything, goes with the entire wardrobe, and has enough depth to look intentional rather than absent. The second is navy. Navy is the great underrated neutral, and it behaves like a dark neutral while having real color content in it. It is softer against the face than black, it does not throw the same shadow upward, and it flatters silver and gray hair particularly well. And the third is what I would call a colored gray. Grays that have been pulled slightly towards another color. A warm grayish with brown in it, a soft dove gray with pink in it, a slate with blue in it, a stone with green in it. These read as gray to anybody looking, and they have chroma in them, which means they have something to reflect back at you. That last category is where the good gray knitwear lives, and it costs no more than the flat stuff. You simply have to look at 2 grays side by side to see which one has a color hiding in it. Which brings me to the third, and this is the one I promised you. The third is pale washed out pastels. Powder pink, baby blue, mint green, lilac, buttercup yellow, pale peach. And the reason this one matters more than the other 2 is that nobody is accidentally selling you brilliant white or mid-gray as a solution to being 60. They are just there. Pastels are actively marketed to us deliberately in catalogs that use words like soft, gentle, feminine, pretty, and youthful. And they are photographed on models with a great deal of professional lighting, doing exactly the job the color cannot do on its own. Here is what is going wrong. A pale pastel has very little saturation, which means very little color intensity. It is a color that has been diluted with a large amount of white until only a suggestion of it remains. So it fails in 2 ways simultaneously. It has the light reflection problem of white. Because it is mostly white, it throws a great deal of light upward onto your face and flattens your complexion. And it has the no color problem of gray, because there is not enough pigment in it to reflect anything meaningful back. It is, in effect, both of the first 2 problems in a single garment, which is why it is the most draining of the 3, even though it feels like the gentlest. And then there is a third effect that is harder to name, but that everybody recognizes. Pale washed-out pastels have a specific association, and the association is with things that are fading. It is the palette of hospital corridors, of anniversary cards, of the cardigan section at the back of a department store. Fully saturated color reads as vital. Diluted color reads as diminished. And I do not think that is an accident of taste. I think it is because a strong color is a statement and a weak one is an apology. Now the replacement, and this is my favorite thing in this video, because you do not have to give up a single one of those colors. You have to turn the volume up on all of them. Every pale pastel has a saturated version of the same hue. Powder pink becomes raspberry, or a deep rose, or a coral. Baby blue becomes teal, or petrol, or a proper cornflower. Mint becomes emerald, or a rich sage or jade. Lilac becomes amethyst or plum. Buttercup becomes ochre, mustard, or a deep golden yellow. Pale peach becomes terracotta or a warm apricot. Same color family every single time. Same personality. If you love pink, you still get to love pink. What changes is that the color now has enough pigment in it to reflect real color onto your face rather than a wash of white light. And a saturated color does something that a pale one cannot. It gives the eye a reason to come to your face and stay there. When a color is strong, it is the most interesting thing in the picture. And the most interesting thing in the picture is what people look at. Put it near your collarbone, and you have directed attention exactly where you want it. I would go so far as to say this. If you took nothing else from this video and simply replaced every pale item near your face with a saturated version of the same color, you would look noticeably better within a week, and nobody would be able to tell you what had changed. Now let me deal with the objection, because I know exactly what it is. A great many women hear all of this and think, that is all very well, but strong colors draw attention, and I do not want to draw attention. Bright colors are for younger women. At my age, it is more dignified to be quiet. I want to take that seriously because it is not vanity or laziness. It is a real belief and it is very widely held. But I think it rests on a confusion between two different things. Loud and saturated are not the same. A neon lime green is loud. A deep emerald is saturated. A hot fluorescent pink is loud. A deep raspberry is saturated. Saturation means color intensity, how much actual pigment is in there. Loudness is a matter of how jarring the hue is and how much it fights with everything around it. Every genuinely elegant older woman you can picture is wearing saturated color. Deep navy, bottle green, wine, camel, rich rust, ink. Those are strong colors, all of them, and not one of them is loud. They read as expensive precisely because they have depth, and depth is what money buys in dyeing. A deep, even saturated color costs more to produce than a diluted one, and the eye knows it. So the quiet, dignified, expensive-looking option is not the pale one. It is the deep one. Pale is not quiet. Pale is just faint. And the second half of the objection, about drawing attention, deserves an answer too. Attention is going to land somewhere. If you are in a room, people will look at you at some point, briefly, in the ordinary way. The only question is what they see when they do. Color near your face means they see your face. No color anywhere means they see whatever else is available. You are not choosing between being noticed and not being noticed. You are choosing what gets noticed. Now the test I promised, and it settles everything. The daylight test. It takes 10 seconds and it works on any garment, in any shop, and on anything already hanging in your wardrobe. Take the item to the nearest window and hold it up under your chin so the fabric is against your throat and the daylight is falling on your face. Not shop lighting, which is designed to make merchandise look appealing and which is usually warm and flattering to everything. Daylight, from a window, which is what you will actually be seen in. Now do not look at the garment. Look only at your face, specifically at 3 places: the area under your eyes, the skin along your jaw, and the corners of your mouth. Then take it away and look again. That is it. One of 2 things will have happened. Either the shadows under your eyes got shallower, your jawline looked a bit cleaner, and your skin looked more even, in which case the color is working for you. Or the shadows deepened, your skin looked flatter or grayer, and you noticed things you had not noticed a moment earlier, in which case it is not. And no amount of liking the garment will change that. 2 things make this test work properly. Do it in daylight, always, because artificial light lies, and look at your face rather than at the fabric, which is much harder than it sounds. The instinct is to assess whether you like the color, and that is not the question being asked. Do this with 6 things from your own wardrobe tonight, and you will understand your own palette better than any consultation could tell you. And you will finally know why there are 3 or 4 items you never reach for, despite having paid good money for them. One more thing before I pull it together, because it makes all of this much easier to live with. Everything I have said applies only above the collarbone. The three colors are only a problem when they are within about a hand's width of your face, because that is the only fabric close enough to reflect light onto your skin. Below that, they do nothing at all. So brilliant white trousers are completely fine. A gray skirt is fine. A pale pastel bag, shoe, or coat worn open is fine. None of them are anywhere near your face, and none of them are reflecting anything onto it, which means you almost certainly do not need to replace your wardrobe. You need to look at the tops, the blouses, the scarves, and the knitwear, the 6 inches that sit under your chin, and everything else can stay exactly as it is. And if you have a top you genuinely love in one of the three, there is a straightforward rescue. Put something else between it and your face. A scarf in a saturated color worn hanging open, a necklace with some real color or warm metal in it, a cardigan or jacket in a good color worn open over the top, so the strip nearest your face is the good color and the problem color sits further out. You are not throwing anything away. You are changing what is closest to your chin. So let me bring all of it together. It is not about hue. It is about what a color does with light and whether it has any depth in it. Skin after 60 is more sensitive to what is being reflected up at it, and 3 colors get that badly wrong in 3 different ways. Brilliant optic white throws far too much light upward and adds a blue cast on top of it, and it creates the harshest possible contrast against your jaw and neck. Replace it with cream, ivory, oyster, bone, or chalk. Test it against a sheet of printer paper. If it looks slightly yellow or gray beside the paper, that is the one you want. Mid-gray has no color content whatsoever, so it reflects nothing, and leaves your skin to supply all the color by itself. Replace it with charcoal, with navy, or with a gray that has another color hiding inside it. A warm grage, a pink-toned dove, a blue slate, a green stone. And pale washed-out pastels are both problems at once, mostly white and barely pigmented, which is why the gentlest-looking option is the most draining. Replace every one of them with the saturated version of the same color. Powder pink becomes raspberry, baby blue becomes teal, mint becomes emerald, lilac becomes plum, buttercup becomes ochre. You keep the color you love and you turn the volume up. Saturated is not loud. Deep navy, bottle green, wine, rust, and ink are all strong colors and not one of them shouts. Pale is not quiet, pale is faint, and faint is not the same thing as elegant. Use the daylight test. Hold it under your chin at a window, look at your under eyes, your jaw, and the corners of your mouth, then take it away and look again. Your face will tell you. And remember that none of it applies below the collarbone. So your trousers, your skirts, and your coats are all perfectly safe. The last thing I want to say is this. I have watched a great many women spend money on creams and treatments to fix something that a 15-pound change of blouse would have fixed in the time it takes to get dressed. Not because the creams are useless, but because the tiredness they were trying to treat was not in their face. It was being reflected onto it, from 18 inches below, by something they put on without thinking at 7 in the morning. That is a genuinely easy thing to fix, and it is one of the very few things about getting older that gets easier rather than harder once you understand it. So go and hold 3 things up to a window before the light goes today. Just 3. And then tell me in the comments which of the 3 colors you own the most of, because I have a suspicion that gray is going to win by a distance, and I would like to be proved right. Subscribe if this was useful, because I make these for women who would rather know the reason than keep being told to embrace it. I will see you in the next one.